welcome to the Skeptic Zone, the podcast from Australia for science and reason.
Hello and welcome to the Skeptic Zone, episode number 222, for you numerologists out there, 222, for the 21st of January 2013. Richard Saunders here with you from an overcast Sydney, Australia. In the past weeks, folks, Sydney experienced on Friday its hottest recorded day in history. Oh, yes, what was it, 45.8? You can do the conversion to Fahrenheit at some time if you wish, but believe me, it was hot. Oh, yes. But not as hot as the Skeptic Zone this week. We're going to kick off with Maynard's interview with Dr Krissy Wilson. And Dr Krissy, who was at the Melbourne Convention just a few months ago, will be discussing her opinions on stage psychics, or stage performers, or people who claim they have special psychic power to talk to dead people and charge money. Now, it's no shock to know that Krissy is none too pleased with these people. Anyway, find out more at the top of the show with Maynard's Spooky Action. And then after that, Maynard's back briefly with me. I went to see Maynard being the MC for a sort of a public Q&A of characters from a very popular TV show here in Australia called Danger 5. And I went along to see Maynard in true form. It was really good to see him there, handling the audience and talking to the cast of this crazy show. If you've got time, Google Danger 5. Have a look at some of the clips. It's outrageous. It reminds me of something like Spike Milligan might have done, or the Goodies. It's crazy World War II. It's ridiculous. It's over the top, but it's good fun. Anyway, a little chat with Maynard about Danger 5, just for the hell of it. And I think we want to get a campaign going, folks. We want Maynard to appear in the next series of Danger 5. We really do. I think you'd be fantastic. Following that little chat with Maynard, and the reason why the Skeptic Zone is a little bit late this week, yesterday I got up nice and early, went downtown here in Sydney, jumped on a bus at 7 a.m. and headed for Canberra to spend the day with the Canberra Skeptics. Now, they were having a free public screening of Brian Dunning's wonderful documentary, Here Be Dragons. So I went along and enjoyed some time with the Canberra Skeptics, went along to the screening of Here Be Dragons with an audience of about 80 people, which was fantastic. And then afterwards repaired to King O'Malley's pub, where we recorded a Canberra think tank with lots of nice people down there in the Australian Capital Territory. And a big shout out to Loz, Amanda and Kevin and all the people who came along to enjoy the day in Canberra. Coming up soon on the Skeptic Zone, more news about the Australian anti-vaccination network, or what's left of them. It's an interesting thing to see. They're almost disintegrating before our very eyes. Good news for children everywhere, that this band of interesting people are sort of, hopefully in their death rattle. We'll keep you up to date, and I think Dr. Rachy might have something to say about that coming up very soon on the Skeptic Zone. But for now, I'm going to run downstairs, open the fridge. Apple and raspberry cordial with ice today, because it's a little bit warm. While I'm doing that, you can listen to the Skeptic Zone.
Here's Maynard's Spooky Action at a distance.
Look, we're here in the green room now, which is not green, and I'm here with Krissy Wilson and a cardboard cutout head of Brian Dunning, isn't it? Hello, I'm Brian Dunning from Skeptoid. Touch me now.
It's not a great picture of him, though, really, is it? I didn't quite recognise. You haven't got one of me in there.
No, we haven't. We will have for next year. But look, I went into the main hall here, and you were getting everyone to chant, sick, 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 sick carrot. Now, what was that all about? And who are you? What are you doing here making people yell sick?
Well, look, it wouldn't be my job at a Skeptics convention unless I got people to pointlessly chant something. At TAM 2 years ago, I managed to get everybody to chant Aussie, 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 oi, 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 for no reason whatsoever, except that I can. No, it was actually six, not sick.
Right. And why does chanting 6 make you want to say carrot?
Well, I don't actually know. It's just this weird little experiment, and I've done it with students before. A huge group of the audience will think of carrot.
Right. Well,
it might be one of these sort of population stereotype things. Think of a number between 1 and 10, and a lot of people will think of 3 or 7.
Okay. Look, I remember stage show I was a part of. There was 2 envelopes which we used to have, and think of a vegetable, think of a tool, and people would always say carrot and hammer. They were normally the 2 things people say when asked those questions.
Yeah. Well, again, it's probably population stereotypes.
And what's your doctorate in, once again?
Well, I did my doctorate, it's in psychology, obviously, but the subject was memory, so I looked at memory biases for both normal and paranormal events. So I did a lot of work on false memory creation, so some of the things actually that Richard was saying earlier about how we can't trust our memory. Eyewitness testimony, how eyewitness testimony is very vulnerable to all kinds of biases. So that was the PhD. I did...
And what about something like a police lineup? Is that just fraught with the chance for everything to go horribly wrong because of memory as well?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in America, eyewitness testimony, direct eyewitness testimony, yes, it was him, was, as powerful as a smoking gun. But these days, because of people like Elizabeth Loftus, who's like the queen of memory research and everybody's hero in this area, she's shown that memory is incredibly vulnerable to all kinds of misinformation. We can get misinformation from fellow witnesses, we can get information because of how we're sort of feeling on that particular day, our own particular belief systems, all those kind of things will affect our memory. So, yeah, a lineup now, eyewitness testimony it's still obviously used in court, but it doesn't have the same weight that it used to because of what we now know about memory.
So instead of thinking of memory as a continuously recording tape of something, how should we think of memory?
Well, memory it's a good analogy. It's not this video camcorder in our heads. It's a far more active, fluid process. So if I ask you now, right, think back, Maynard, think of a time when you were really happy. Okay, when you were, say, 16 years old, think of a time when you were really happy during your 16th year. Now, what you're doing now, you're not flicking through your camcorder, and playing back a memory with perfect clarity and perfect accuracy. What you're doing is you're reconstructing that memory. So it's a brand new memory, if you like, and it's open to all the things that have happened to you since you were 16 years old. So how you are now as an adult,
so
all your experiences.
This is why when you break up with someone, all you can think about them is the bad things, and you tend to not remember the good things till a while later when it doesn't matter as much.
Well, I think that's probably something else. That's coping mechanism.
Okay, a coping mechanism. And what attracted you to psychology? I mean, apart from the electrochemical action that goes on there, that you can physically tell what's going on, and even then they haven't got that completely nailed down. It is a bit of a grey area for a lot of people, and a lot of arguments over data that doesn't exist at this point in time.
Yep, absolutely. I think I got interested in psychology because I've always been interested in what makes people tick. What is it? Why do we do the stupid things that we do? And, we're such irrational creatures. We don't make decisions based on evidence. We don't weigh up the evidence, the pros and cons of certain things. We make decisions based on emotions, usually, and other reasons. It's not about evidence. We don't do that. We are irrational creatures. And so I think it was that initially. I was an air stewardess at the time, and I was sort of trooping up and down 747, asking...
And you were putting on that really thick makeup. You had the really thick tights so you don't get thrombosis. And you had that Estee Lauder ESP lipstick on, which they used to advertise that the hostesses wore before as well. So your skin would have been taking a beating for a start.
Yeah, it did. I'm actually only 27 years old. Don't laugh.
Because I could imagine, is it like a stage performer when you're an air hostess, you have to reapply makeup a couple of times a day?
Well, yeah, I didn't. I got fed up with it, you know. I just wanted the money and to go to some exotic places, you know. But it was while I was sort of trooping up and down the 747, I thought, why are these...
You wanted to go to exotic places and you ended up in Gatwick. Is that what happened?
Well, I went to a lot of really dodgy places in the Middle East, actually, like Qatar and Doha and dumps like that. Sorry to anybody who's actually from that area. But it was trooping up and down the 747 that I got interested in, why are these people behaving the way that they are behaving? You know, because they're in a stressful situation. They all behave differently. So
why does the really fat guy get the middle seat?
Yeah, and why does he always sit next to me? So I guess that's where it started. And then I did a degree while I was still being an air stewardess. I did it in part-time, which was very hard. You know, I'd come in from a flight from New York and race straight up to London and do 3 hours studying and race back again. So that was interesting. And then I just got really interested and thought, right, I'm going to make this a career. And the PhD just was the next logical step.
You asked earlier, why do people do impulsive things? Well, you've done a bit of an impulsive thing yourself. You went along to a psychic doing a show on your own and heckled him.
Yeah, well, there was nothing impulsive about it, really. It was research.
Right, so it was a considered risk you took.
Well, I'm a fairly reasonable, level-headed skeptic. I'm not hardcore in any way, you know. I am open-minded. But I get very, very cross about psychic mediums. The ones that know perfectly well that what they are doing is wrong. As you know, they're manipulating people at their most vulnerable, and they're con artists, and they're absolute scum of the earth, in my opinion. So I went along to watch because this is one of the things that does get me riled up in skepticism. It's why I am a skeptic. Things like that. I hate to see that, because the worst of it is that in the audience there were people who were in tears, really upset because they thought that this clown was talking to the spirits of their dead loved ones, and I find that abhorrent.
Well, Penn Jillette has recently said that the great crime in that is, yes, they're being fooled, yes, the money's being taken, but they're also corrupting the memory that person had of that person, so that the memory they had of them is now being changed by this reading. Yeah,
absolutely. Very good point. And not only that, but all bereavement counsellors, bereavement psychologists will tell you that the way to deal with it is to accept that your loved one has gone. It takes a long time. It is a grieving process. To go along to psychics and constantly be told that, oh yeah, he's all right, he's sending his love to you, all this sort of thing, that just prolongs the process. It doesn't do them any good.
And do you know of a case ever where there's a negative message being sent from the person from beyond this life? Like, I wish you'd been nicer to me or something, or, we could have gone out more.
Yeah, never. And I've seen Riley, I've seen lots of them in England, been to spiritualist churches to watch, and you never get a negative message. I mean, if I was dead, and I came back with a message, I think I'd be a bit annoyed. No, I'm not happy. I'm dead.
I'm dead. This is not where I prefer to be.
Yeah, and people who die, surely they don't all die full of love for their particular partners and their children. It says surely some of them are a bit niffed about something. Actually, no, I don't forgive you for the time you slept with the next door neighbour. I'm a bit annoyed about it, actually.
So at the end of this show, you mentioned the fact of cold reading during the Q&A section in this show, and the audience turned on you.
Oh, yeah, very much so. I was kind of expecting it, but it was very, very vitriolic. It was nasty.
So I guess you were taking away the connection with their loved one. That's what you were doing.
Well, I guess why they got so upset was because I was attacking somebody that they believed was real. But interestingly, even at the end of the show, and we started to troop out, people came up to me and asked me questions, and they weren't shouting at me then. They were asking questions. They wanted to know, well, why do you think this, and why do you think that it's not real? Haven't you had aren't you open-minded to this kind of thing? And so I spent a lot of time after the event talking to people, because so the seeds of doubt may well have been implanted in some of them at least. But it was not pleasant. It wasn't to be in that situation. I'm glad I did it.
But would you do it again?
Absolutely. Because, like I said, I find it utterly abhorrent that these people are allowed to do this, and that it doesn't matter what you say. If I stood up there and I proved to all the women in that audience, this man is a con artist and I can prove it, won't make any difference. They are choosing to believe because they want to believe. It's very, very seductive to believe that someone can get in touch with your dead loved one. I mean, it's a terrible thing that humans have to go through. The bereavement process. It's horrible. It can crucify you. It can crush you. So how seductive to have somebody who can actually communicate with your dead child. So you have one last conversation with them. But it's horrible because it's not real, and it's not the fact that they're making money. That doesn't bother me. We'll make money doing something. It's not that. It's the fact that he's hurting people, that he's cheating and exploiting people at their most vulnerable. So, yes, I would absolutely do it again.
Well, you went along to a show. What can the average person do? Well, you can't really write and complain about what they're doing because it's legal.
Yeah, I guess you can go onto his website, you can look at the claims that he makes, and you can email him and say this is nonsense. You can confront him with evidence that other people like him have been shown to be con artists. I've just remembered that during the question and answer session when I was talking to him, I said, look, what do you think of John Edward then? Do you think John Edward is for real? And he said, yeah, he's absolutely for real. But of course he's been proven to be the scum of the earth. So, okay, right.
Well, now, Krissy Wilson, what are you working on for a project we can all get involved with? You're mentioning you're doing something on the internet now. Is this to do with these soap suds?
Yes. SOAP is my research unit that I set up this year. So I'm doing various studies. So if anybody wants to get involved with it, they can log on to the website.
And what sort of questions are they going to be asked?
Well, the one that's up there at the moment is about happiness and general sort of well-being, along with questions about belief, religious belief and paranormal belief. So it's a correlational study looking at whether or not believers are happier.
Well, gee, that's difficult to work out on a scale of 1 to 10, particularly when relative happiness is taken into account as well.
Yeah, well, the scales that I use are from the area called positive psychology. So I like to, because anomalistic psychology is such a small field, I like to pick things from various areas within psychology. So there's cognitive psychology in there, there's behaviourism, there's personality, and the happiness scales are actually from positive psychology. So they're standard questionnaires. I didn't write them. Fairly lengthy, and they've been used over and over again, so they've got good validity and what we call good reliability measures. And the belief scales are the same. They're always scales that I always use the same scales that other researchers have used for like 20, 30 odd years, so they've got good reliability.
The only worry I would have in the study is it what they call a self-selecting study, so you'll get a certain group of people that could skew it some way or something?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a problem that all researchers have when you advertise for research. I mean, and there's also the question of the validity of using questionnaires at all. And there's a school of thought that suggests that, well, questionnaire data, how reliable is it? Because if you ask people to fill out a questionnaire, how do you know that what they're actually saying is true? How do you know that they're not skewing the results deliberately, that they're not sabotaging? I think one of the members of the audience asked me this earlier in the question and answer session. So you can't be absolutely sure. I mean, science is a human activity. We do the best we can. We try to eliminate some of the biases. We try to eliminate any potential threats to scientific control. We do our best. And in psychology, we have this 95% probability factor, which helps to sort of suggest that what we've got is actually a real result. 95% chance that this is for real. So there's only a 5% chance that it could be down to something else, something that we haven't controlled for. So we do our best. It's flawed, because the whole process is flawed, no matter what kind of research you do, because we are using human participants. Now, whenever we use human participants, the potential for bias, the potential for problems is always going to be there. And that's the same for researchers as well. Something that I've had levelled at myself is academics have said, Krissy, you seem to have made your mind up, which is a terrible thing to hear. So I try very hard when I give talks, not to skeptics, because obviously, preaching to the converted, but that there is that potential for experimental bias as well. So I try to be as objective as possible when I'm dealing with participants.
Okay, Krissy, what woo, what paranormal, what occult thing would you like to be real? If it could be real, if there was something that was real, that was scientifically testable to be real, that we now think isn't, what would you like that to be?
A Loch Ness Monster.
Get out.
Wouldn't that be brilliant if there was this enormous thing?
Anyone who's been there will tell you if there isn't a monster there should be. It's just spooky countryside, isn't it?
Oh, it's just fabulous. It's just gorgeous. My family are from the north of Scotland, and it would just be wonderful, wouldn't it, to think that there was this mythical, enormous beast under the water there, because it's very, very deep. And it would just be wonderful.
And
if
the
that
great
was
thing
true.
is that there are other great lochs around there. Loch Ness is just one of the many great ones. And then they would probably want their monsters. In fact, are there other monsters in that area of the world other than Loch Ness that we don't hear about?
I don't think so.
No.
No.
It gets all the press. It's who you know in the monster world.
There's various cats, mythical, well, not mythical necessarily, but there's
the ABCs, the alien big cats, I believe they're called in the UK.
Yeah, well, I was thinking of like the Exmoor panther. Exmoor is a southwest of England, and there's been sightings of a giant cat, that roams around killing sheep and frightening people. Yeah,
but the Loch Ness, that's a pretty good one too, because it's an unusual, spooky thing that who knows what is that all about, and it's a real pity about it, because it would be kind of cute, wouldn't it?
Well, it would be cute, but it's also nice for, sort of from the sort of environmental perspective as well, that there is this huge beast that's managed to survive despite everything, living down there, and maybe it's breeding, and I mean, it'd just be brilliant if it was that. I mean, wouldn't it be amazing to just drive along, 6 o'clock in the evening?
And there it is.
Oh, there it is.
With that funny wacky, with the head that's like Dino from the Flintstones. Yeah. Well, look, have a good time here at the rest of the conference. What have you got planned now? You're just going to have the dinner tonight, and you can relax now. All the stress is over.
Well, I've got the panel tomorrow.
Oh, right.
So I've got
some tough questions for you then, haven't they?
Well, yeah.
What about that Loch Ness Monster stuff you were talking yesterday? Woman, you're drunk.
Crap, woman. Yeah, so between now and tomorrow I've got to come up with something intelligent.
What's the title of the panel you're going to be on?
I think it's how to be an
how to be an adult. Just behave. Be nice to people.
How to be an active skeptic.
Wow. Well, look, you've done it. You've gone along and you've annoyed people that were otherwise having a good time at a psychic reading.
Well, that's one element to it, but I've got a couple of other little things to say from a psychological point of view.
Well, you enjoy the conference. What do you think of the makeup of the Melbourne conference? You've been to there's no one in this room yet. I was just gesturing to the empty room. But yeah, do you think it's a different makeup? There's a lot of younger kids here. Yeah,
it's an odd mixture, actually. It's a different kind of mixture. You've got your hardcore skeptic crew, if you like, and it's always lovely to come back, because it's like, mates again.
Those guys, yeah.
I know, so that's really nice. But there are a lot of young people, and I felt bad during my talk, because I think I said in my talk, I have this tendency to swear. I'm a lad.
You were just going off there. She was working blue, people, if you know what I mean. She's working blue, like a working men's club from the north of England. It was.
Well, from the slums of London, maybe. So yeah, there are a lot of young people, which is brilliant to see, and the students are great down there. They've got their science projects, and it's brilliant to see that. And Adam's talk was fantastic, talking about his students, his 12-year-olds, learning about scepticism and about critical thinking and stuff. Yeah, it's really nice to see that. I mean, I think the whole movement in scepticism does seem to be shifting. There is a much younger vibe about it. I mean, soon I'm going to be able to be a sceptical dinosaur. I've got about 3 years left, I reckon, before.
Well, before the sands of time slip away down that glass, we'll see you soon.
All right, brilliant. Thanks very much, Maynard.
Poppy.
I'm Ross Blotcher.
Oh, hey, Ross.
Hey, we're from a podcast called
Oh No, Ross and Carrie.
We find out what happens when you show up and ask questions.
We've hung out with the Kabbalists.
The Mormons.
We've gone and gotten ear candles.
Gone to the Sikhs.
We show up so you don't have to.
So find out where we're going next.
We'll even have special episodes where we have famous guests like Brian Dalton from Mr. Deity.
You heard that awesome theme music? He wrote that.
You should come visit us at onopodcast.com or
facebook.com/onrac.
What the hell's OnRac, Ross?
ONRAC.
Oh no, Ross and Carrie.
That's our show.
That's so smart. Come join us.
Now, we're here in the Vanguard in Newtown, and now, folks, you know Maynard so well as the reporter from the Skeptic Zone. He does such a great job. But he moonlights. Oh, yes, he moonlights on radio, and he moonlights here doing the MC for Danger 5.
Now, the Danger 5 is an Australian comedy show that's a retro comedy show. If you could imagine the history of World War II seen through the eyes of Hogan's Heroes and Combat, Captain Scarlet and Jerry Anderson, you've got a bit of an idea what's going on.
Danger 5 is really crazy out there left field. It reminds me of the Goons, it reminds me of the Goodies, it's Monty Python all rolled into one, and it's Australian.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It tries not to be Australian, which is good too. But it's a fully Australian production made in Adelaide, and I hope they do a second season. I've just done their first Q&A where their fans came to see them. We had about 160 fans here in the Vanguard nightclub in King Street, Newtown in Sydney, and they asked all sorts of questions. Richard asked a few interesting ones as well because of your experience in the industry, Richard.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, this was a very keen audience to see these, and they had never been up in front of their fans before. This is their first Q&A, and I think they should be invited to Comic-Con or something like that.
I would love to see them at Comic-Con. I'd love to see them at Dragon Con. So here's the clue, USA listeners. Google Danger 5. It
is available on Hulu now for those people who have Hulu in the States.
Excellent. It's really out there. It's new. It's bizarre. It's different. It's Nazis. It's dinosaurs. But it's creative, and I really appreciate that.
And the only copy I had of it on DVD I gave to George Rubb when we at the amazing meeting which he has. So if you want to get a recommendation for the show, ask George Rubb about Danger 5. He loves it.
And we're going to start a groundswell. Listen, we're going to get a groundswell of fans petitioning Danger 5 producers to have Maynard guest star.
I don't know who I could be, but pretty much any character from the Second World War. I reckon a Finnish ski trooper, something like that, or even a reptilian. I'll be happy to play any of those parts.
And as you've done so well in the past.
Now back to your normal program.
This is Ben Radford. I'm Deputy Editor of Skeptical Inquirer Science Magazine, author of 6 books, including Tracking Chupacabra, and you can find out more about me at benjaminradford.com.
Well, here I am in Canberra in the Australian Capital Territory. It's a lovely day here, and I'm in the grounds of the Questicon, where the local skeptics, the Canberra Skeptics, are having a barbecue, which is something I'm really looking forward to. And I'm just taking the opportunity to wander around the public gardens here, which are beautifully laid out. There's works of art, and I noticed before, and I'm just walking up to it now, there's a little feature here which squirts sort of water droplets into a big sort of foamy, foggy mist, which isn't happening right now. So I'll come back to that one. Walk across the grass here. Looking forward to meeting lots of Canberra Skeptics today at their barbecue, discussing the upcoming convention later in November. And of course, we're going to be seeing a screening of Here Be Dragons by Brian Dunning a bit later on today. Now I'm walking up to a giant xylophone, which you can probably hear some kids are playing with it at the moment. It's about 8 feet long, I guess, in a curved pattern. So the kids running off, I'll have a go here. You can hear the interesting acoustics. I'm in this sort of semicircle of giant xylophone. It's called the rock xylophone. I wonder if I can beat out the Skeptic Zone theme. The answer is no.
Can we have a turn?
You can have a turn. Away you go.
No, you can't put it there.
You
have to put them there.
There we go. That's for you.
You have to put them there.
Oh, do you? All right. Do you want to have a go too? You take that one. Away they go. Oh, they're really cracking it. And I notice the water feature is now active again. Let me head back. Oh, that's lovely. On a hot day, this would be just heavenly. There's water vapours and there's some kids playing in it. Sort of like steam. I better head back to the barbecue.
Got the right gear on for the heat. Yes, I know.
Well, the barbecue's underway. It's so nice here. We're under sort of a large shelter. There's some barbecues, free barbecues. Goodness me, I do like Canberra. The sausages are on the go. I'm with Kevin Davies here. Kevin, it's so exciting. We're going to be looking forward to the big convention later in the year.
Thank you very much, Richard. Yes, well, it is going all well according to plan at the moment. We're organising things as they come up, and it's going to be a good show.
I'm really looking forward to it. Of course, this year's theme is conspiracy theories, and what a wealth of options there are there.
One thing can be certain, there's always going to be a conspiracy theory about something. And, of course, this is the perfect year. It's be the 50th anniversary of the assassination of JFK, so there really was no other topic.
Yeah, it ties in quite well. And when you think about it, there's political conspiracy theories, there's conspiracy theories about the climate, and as we were chatting earlier, there's a lot of the anti-vaxxers, they're basically at heart conspiracy theorists. And chemtrails, of course.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, as we all know, this barbecue is actually funded by Big Pharma. I mean, they get...
Shh, you're giving it away now.
Oh, sorry.
Is it?
Sorry. Yeah.
They're Big Pharma sausages, are they?
Yeah, Big Pharma sausages. Yeah, filled with who knows what, designed to control the masses.
Probably chemicals.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Chemicals.
It looks good. I'm just looking at some steaks and sausages on the go over there. But it's a nice little turnout. This is really something you've done for the local skeptical members, isn't it?
Yes. Every year about this time, we take a break from our monthly lecture series and we just put on a social event. So sometimes it's at a pub, but this year I thought I'd do something different. So we'd have a barbecue first, and then we'd go inside for a free screening of Brian Dunning's Here Be Dragons, A Guide to Critical Thinking.
Yeah, looking forward to that, and that's just over an hour away. We'll be heading in there. More people will be turning out for that, of course, which is really great. But I really like the social aspect of skepticism. It's a good chance to have a nice, relaxing time, a glass of wine, which we have.
Absolutely.
I can hear those sausages sizzling in the background. It's such a nice day here in Canberra. And so folks, here's the word. Keep your eye on the website, which is canberraskeptics.org.au.
canberraskeptics.org.au, and there we are using the Facebook page that was used for the convention last year. We just took over that. We'll be using that. So that's the same website, and details will be up shortly. We're in the process of making the website for the convention, and we've got...
Well, of course, it's early days. The convention isn't until November, but it's good for people to plan way ahead and make the note in the diary.
Absolutely. 22nd to 24th of November at CSIRO Discovery.
Excellent stuff. Kevin, it's going to be a fun year leading up to a great convention.
Looking forward to it.
Großes Hallo an alle deutschen Zuhörer des Skeptic Zone Podcasts. Wusstet ihr, dass es auch in Deutschland einen Skeptikerverband gibt? Für weitere Informationen über uns und das Skeptiker Magazin besucht www.gwup.org. Ich wiederhole, www.gwup.org und unsere offiziellen Facebook, Twitter und Google Plus Seiten.
Join us now for Drinking Skeptically in the Think Tank.
To dazzle. Well, I'm dazzled, Amanda. I'm dazzled because I'm in Canberra, and I'm in trouble. This is the very first Canberra Think Tank. Welcome and cheers, everybody.
Yes. I don't know glass.
Well, half the people have glasses and half the people don't. There's so many people here. This is fantastic. We had a showing of Brian Dunning's Here Be Dragons today, which is really good. I'm going to go around the room and everybody let our audience know who you are.
Oh, I'm Nick Ware. I'm a retired scientific minion.
Good enough.
My name's Amanda DeVal. I'm a current minion.
Even better.
My name's Kevin Davies. I'm the president of Canberra Skeptics.
That's the best so far.
John Bundock, retired solicitor.
Michael Green, bum.
Well said.
Esquire.
Loz from Twitter.
Loz from Twitter and?
Ada.
Hello, Ada. She's clapping her hands, folks. Trust me, she's clapping her hands. She's delighted to be here, and she's how old? 9 months? Almost.
Get them young.
Lauren, I'm an almost teacher.
And you're from Twitter too, aren't you?
I am from Twitter as well.
Victor, skeptic.
Oh.
Okay, bomb, but it sounds better to say skeptic.
And I'm Andrew. I work in the aid and development industry, and I'm on the committee of Canberra Skeptics.
So you are, and let me start with you, Andrew, because those people who went to the Melbourne convention would have remembered at the end of the convention there was a brief teaser trailer for the upcoming Canberra Skeptics Convention, or the Australian Skeptic Convention here in Canberra in November, and you were responsible for that, and that's online, isn't it?
It is. It's online. It's if you search YouTube for The Australian Connection, I think that's what I called it, you'll find that under my account. That was a lot of fun to do, actually. My friend Liz and I trooped around to various places in Canberra, and I had this script pre-prepared. You might have seen the script. It reflected in Liz's sunglasses. But it was a lot of fun to do, so we're very happy that it got a good reception.
In fact, and is that linked from the Canberra Skeptics website? I think it should be, if it's not.
I think since I'm the one who's responsible for the Canberra Skeptics website, I think we should probably make a note to itself.
Well, undoubtedly, by the time this goes out, it will be. But it's a fun video because the upcoming convention here in November is all about conspiracy theories. That's the theme, yeah. Because, as you were reminding us earlier, it's the... What? Are you kidding?
Shut up.
We're only poor skeptics. It's the 50th anniversary this year of the assassination of JFK, of course. Yeah?
Yes, it is. So, what better theme for a convention on such an inauspicious date as the assassination of JFK? So, it's all going well.
And there are so many things you can weave around conspiracy theories. It's endless. We were discussing this earlier, from chemtrails to anti-vaccination to just about anything. A lot of the woo crowd we sort of come up against, at their heart, I think a lot of them are conspiracy theorists, aren't they?
Yes, and you've got conspiracy theories relating to history, especially Holocaust denial.
Oh, yeah.
But also 9/11 conspiracy theories. So there's a lot of conspiracy theories.
911 conspiracy theories. That's an awful lot.
Oh, there's more.
There's a lot more than that.
There are a lot more
And
than
they
that.
even popped up in my line of work. We had to do a
What is your line of work, Amanda, for our listeners, generally speaking?
I work in the law enforcement / intelligence field.
Ooh, what the slash about?
The slash is secret. You have to be cleared and you're not. So it's funny because one of the training things that I've recently done, we actually do a presentation on the 9/11 conspiracy. So we had to do an analysis on one of the conspiracy theories according to the Pentagon.
Really?
Which was kind of funny. Yeah.
Wow.
And so I had to put all my my skepticism sort of a little bit back and treat it as an analysis based on data rather than... Which is actually quite good because we were forced to look at things as a whole picture rather than what we would initially believe within ourselves.
Isn't that interesting? Because I know with the moon landing, so-called moon landing hoax conspiracy, it wasn't until years afterwards that these things came up, and I didn't pay them much attention when they first came up because I thought, oh, that's silly, what's next? And then they grew in popularity. But I can't remember now how long after 9/11 that the conspiracy theory started popping up.
It was about 2.5 minutes after.
Yeah.
About 6 months after it, I first saw the document come around which claimed that there were no planes at the Pentagon. The document came around, it was written by some French guy, but it was the first one that I saw saying that there were no plane fragments found at the Pentagon, and it had photos and everything, and I was, oh, this is so credible.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I actually had a person in the field who probably should have known, but actually tried to tell me why he believed that the Pentagon was actually a missile strike, and I literally felt like my brain was about to explode, and I had to take a breath and just go, don't make him cry, and then say, all right. Why do you...
You have secret ways to inflict...
Oh, I do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. But anyway, moving on. But yeah, so I had to say to him, why do you believe this? And what evidence do you have?
Now, I'm just becoming aware of, in the last couple of days, these nutters who have some sort of Sandy Hook conspiracy. Have you seen that?
Yes, I know it very well.
I've seen that it exists, but I haven't looked into it for fear of my sanity.
We've got them for Port Arthur as well.
Port Arthur, of course. Now, Brian Dunning, who we were speaking of earlier, and we always bow when we speak of Brian Dunning and stand up and salute, he did one of his skeptoids on the Port Arthur, the whole conspiracy thing. What did you think?
I thought it was very good. I should know what happened very well, and he covered it very, very, very well. And I took it a bit personally with all the conspiracy theories, as well as with the Sandy Hook one, because that kind of hit me, being in the field. And I felt like the people weren't honouring what had actually happened, the tragedy of what happened, by putting up all these. And what the latest one is that there are dramatic actors who were appearing on at the scene to make it out like it was...
Port Arthur?
Sandy Hook.
Oh, Sandy Hook.
Yeah.
Oh, dear, really?
Yeah. But the Port Arthur was all about the government. It was a big plan.
Because I don't know any of the details about these new ones about Sandy Hook. I wish I could say I was surprised that they're coming up with them, but I am really just disgusted,
Yeah, I mean, I actually was reading through the other night the website for the... they were saying that there were these plants that were going in, and they were the ones giving... And I read one, and I actually had to go and have a martini because... They actually was saying that there was this one woman appearing on the news reports who was being one of the aggrieved, who was appearing with the guy that I can't remember his name, the guy that shut up the cinema, who was also appearing in another thing. So their theory was that these dramatic actors were hired by the government to appear for whatever, to make it the public think that this thing actually happened when it was all actually planned.
The intention was to ignite the gun control thing, or what was the purpose of the conspiracy?
Well, there's a lot of people in America who are firmly of the opinion that the government are out to take all their weapons away and then control them or something.
To be honest.
But the conspiracy about... Is it that the government orchestrated this whole massacre in order to manufacture
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's the line.
Paradox, basically, is saying that with the 9/11, they were saying that the government orchestrated the entire thing to justify invading where they want to invade and go after Saddam and go after
and then Port Arthur was orchestrated to let the government here relieve the population of weapons.
It just made no sense. There was no connection to it whatsoever, which was a bit disappointing because I'd expect the conspiracy theorists to at least put some effort in and make sure that they mix it just right.
They don't have to. They can come up with just about anything, and there'll be a certain percentage of the population who'll jump on board with it, I think.
But a good conspiracy theory is like a good cake mix. You put the right amount.
Well, it's got fruit and nuts in it, yeah.
Plenty of nuts.
You put just amount of truth in with just amount of madness, nuttiness.
Yes,
there you go.
And a couple of fruit cakes.
That was for you.
Yeah.
And with just the right amount of theory, with just amount of science, with the right just amount of religion, and then hit at the hello. So I got distracted by cute baby.
I must say, everybody, we're having this serious discussion, but we're all peeping out of the corner of our eyes because little Ada is sitting up on her mother's knee, and she's just won all our hearts. Hello.
Taking it all in.
She is. The youngest skeptic here, and she's just beaming at us all.
Well, not at you. She looks a little bit scared of you, to be honest.
I must admit, I would like to point out that I think in some ways some of the conspiracy theorists actually put a lot of time and effort into their theories. But it's like they're trying. It's like they've got the assumption and they're trying to make the links to it, and they just.
They start with the conclusion, like creationists. They start with the conclusion and then manufacture a set of links to go.
It's also an industry.
There's actually a psychological element to it. In forensics, what it is it's a human nature, it's a human condition to want to grab for a reason for something. It's what we do. We all do it. Even you do it. We all do it. So what they do is, and this is why a lot of them are so successful with their conspiracy theories and have such a following, is that it gives people a reason for something that they can't comprehend. And if it's something as heinous as a whole lot of death and injury, that they, I can't focus with a cute baby.
She's clapping at us, folks. This is terribly distracting.
You can't focus on death and injury with that.
No.
So that's what it does. It's almost like an addiction in a way. It gets at the part of the brain that sort of wants to reach for that and wants to grab a reason.
Well, the event has to match the outcome. So looking at JFK, the assassination, what's easier to believe, that it was some massive grand conspiracy with thousands of people involved, or it was some pathetic lowlife, which Lee Harvey Oswald was a nobody, and yet he killed one of the most popular presidents in history. Same with, say, Diana. What makes more sense, grand conspiracy or travelling too fast?
No seatbelt.
No seatbelt.
Thank you.
No, it's the message. I mean, this is one of the most blindingly stupid things. And a good friend of mine, in fact, the announcer, Jim Wilshire, who announces the Skeptic Zone each week, said to me, the security guard who was with Diana at the time utterly failed. Diana was not wearing her seatbelt.
And the only reason he survived, and he's in Australia.
There's a connection.
It's not so much a choice. If you grow up here, you just always put your seatbelt.
Well, that's true. It's automatic.
Oh my God! Yeah. I figured it out. It was Harold Holt.
Now, for those listeners listening overseas, Harold Holt was a prime minister in Australia in the 60s, who went swimming one day by himself.
Not very well.
Apparently not.
Scuba diving.
Scuba diving.
He was a strong enough swimmer to swim right out to that Chinese submarine.
Well, there you go. And he disappeared.
And we honoured his legacy by naming a swimming pool after him.
Does anybody here remember that day when Harold Holt disappeared?
I was in the UK, but I do. I have been to Hawaii, and I remember how Captain Cook is remembered there. If you go to the spot in which he was killed, you will find a caravan there selling Captain Cook burgers. Really?
That's
that was 20 years ago.
That is fantastic.
That's the most awesome thing.
Well, it was 20 years ago, but
that's out of date meat, I think.
Yeah, but I think there is another dimension to conspiracy theories. If you think about the conspiracy theories about the moon landings, well, there you have, a fantastic, true. Human effort, and that's trying to be derided for some reason. I actually did quite a lot of work on moon rocks. That's one of the reasons why I came out to Australia, because I knew my boss was going to get them, and it would be fun to come and work on them. Yeah. And I was really surprised, because I was actually on 4 research teams, because I was running the only electron microprobe lab in the country at the time, so it was great. Yeah. Anyway, I found myself in a certain outback town, perhaps I better mention it, and I was staying with the secretary for the Rotary Club, and he was the talk secretary, and I had to give a talk on a moment's notice. So I talked about theories of the formation of the moon and how we were able to cancel out the capture theory and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I talked, and then the questions afterwards were all on von Daniken.
No.
Yeah, all on von Daniken. And did I think the Nasdaq lines, blah, 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 and all this sort of thing. And having a drink at the pub afterwards as well, the one guy came up to me and said, "Do you really think they actually landed on the moon?" And this was very, this was only 8 months afterwards.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? I thought those conspiracy theories...
19... Yeah.
Yeah, they happened...
But it wasn't a conspiracy. This was just a certain outback town.
Oh, good heavens.
In Australia. That's all.
I'm surprised.
But the Von Daniken's Chariot of the Gods, or whatever it is,
Chariots of the Gods question mark. That's on his book,
question mark. Yeah.
Have you seen that relatively recent documentary called Ancient Aliens Debunked?
Yes.
You've seen it? Have you seen
it?
Oh, it's quite a work. Quite a work.
Let's read it.
Oh, it's a documentary. It goes for 3 hours. But it's a methodical undoing of the arguments about ancient astronauts and ancient technology, and it's a work of art, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I developed a recent fascination with the ancient alien sort of thing that people have been.
Yeah, what's his name?
That would be Fred.
Fred the ancient alien.
Fred the ancient alien. He'd rather be called, AA. But it just is so completely silly to me, and just watching this documentary and watching how they because they break it down, and watching how people are just cling to this stupid thing, and just for the sake of the fact that they've probably got no girlfriend.
There might be truth in what you say. Now, folks, we normally do the Think Tank, of course, from our favourite club down the end of the street in the Chinese restaurant. Today we're at King O'Malley's here in Canberra, which is a wonderful pub. We're in a sort of a sitting room with books on the shelves and leather couches and Hansard. Is it? I can't read that.
Yeah, parliamentary debate. I figured we could do a dramatic recitation there.
Maybe we could. And there are no bus announcements, but there are people with dishes over there.
Oh, I can be Gareth Evans.
You can be Gareth.
I can be Gareth Evans.
Who wants to be Cheryl Kerner?
Now, for the benefit of our international listeners and our Australian listeners, we won't be quoting from Hansard after all.
You just ruin all my fun, don't you?
I think you just lost half your listeners anyway. Might want to edit that bit out.
Now, you have regular meetings here, the Canberra people, at this pub?
Yes, we have them once a month for Skeptics in the Pub. It's a bit of a chance. Third Sunday of every month. It's Andrew runs the show for this one, for the Skeptics in the Pub. Just gives people a chance to meet up and chat. It's a little bit different from our monthly lecture series, which we also hold on weekends now. But got a few ideas for things I'd like to see done throughout the year. So
I must admit, I'm quite jealous because this is a really nice... Do you come up to this room, or do you have it in the bigger room downstairs?
It depends, really.
Just where we stumble.
We start out here now. We usually start out in the snug because it's really nice and comfortable. But if we get too many people, we'll go down and take over the rest of the pub.
Because it's the lighting's low. It's got green walls with funny pictures and
each other bitch about bullshit. So it's good.
This is very important.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Ada wants to
You want to do
comment.
a recitation, Ada? No.
Can you say Hansard, Ada?
Well, she nearly swiped the microphone off my hand. She wants to say... Oh, no, she's going for a drink. Is she 21? Is she 18? What's
21? Who are you been? Come on, Ada, give us... What do you think of the ancient aliens?
Yes, what do you think of ancient aliens? Everybody in the room is making gestures. Oh, she's clapping. All right. We're all trying to get a baby to do something. You know what that's like.
Never work with kids and animals.
So let's get back to conspiracy theories because, as we mentioned before, it is the topic of the convention.
Yes.
And as you can see just by our little chat now, this is an endless well,
There's
isn't it?
a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm sure John's heard a few conspiracy theories to do with the law, no doubt, in your time.
I don't know. No, actually, not many legal conspiracy theories. They're not into. It's a bit hard because you've got solid reported cases, transcripts, and things like that.
Okay, well, obviously I was wrong.
Stories behind the cases that get conspiracy.
We get people writing in. We get the benefit of reading, as I like to call it, the nut emails of people writing in, telling us of the various conspiracy theories, and they go from quite disturbing to really entertaining. And one guy had actually created a bed that was made of foil to stop the telepathic government messages from entering his head. He built it and he sent us the photos. And then he rang me later, he rang our office later and said that he wanted to talk about photon torpedoes, and I actually said, dude, I've seen that episode of Star Trek.
Photon torpedoes.
Yeah.
I see.
I did have a chap come in to see me when I was practicing as a private solicitor, and his problem was that ASIO had implanted things in all television sets.
Oh, get over it.
And whenever this man walked into a room with a television there, it would turn and look at him. He wanted to know what he could do about it. He was asking for legal advice, and I advised him that it was not the sort of case that I was experienced in.
We had one guy call us saying that he was actually supposed to be knighted by Queen Elizabeth, and that he was owed a Lamborghini, and this is what he wanted, and he was waiting for his payment. So I said,
that was me.
Was it? Well, I've got some news for you. Oh. It ain't good. Oh, damn. No one's going to be calling you sir anything. But I think we get them because people think we're either a part of it or we can stop them or don't even know what it is. But we get people coming to us saying that the government are after them. And while it's funny to joke about it, there's a real concerning element that's attached to it. And it has to do with the fact that a lot of these people are just troublemakers, but there are some who have very real mental health issues, and they truly believe this stuff. And this is what turns them into dangerous people, and this is what happens at the end of it. So we have to sort of separate what's their mad ravings to see if there's actually any legitimacy to what
there could be a thread of truth there, right?
There could be a thread, and so therefore we have to we use skepticism, we use critical thinking in order to pull it all apart, not automatically think it's going to be, a crazy conspiracy theory, and see if there's anything there that's of value. And it's quite sad because you have to literally get into their thought pattern.
Wow. I have a similar procedure. Oh, look, I used to work for Centrelink at the Civic office. So Centrelink Canberra, all correspondence would come to us. And of course, Centrelink's head office is in Tuggeranong, but most people will just write Centrelink Canberra and send the letter.
For the benefit of our overseas listeners, Centrelink is
the Department of Social Security.
Right, yes.
And there are payments for people who are mentally ill. So we would actually...
Politicians.
No, don't. Curiously, though, we would actually have to read all of the letters that came in, and if there was anything that was threatening or anything that did have to be acted upon, that would be sent through to relevant sections. If it was actually something for us, which was fairly rare, we would get that, but there was usually half of the mail was just because we happened to be the Canberra office would be ravings.
Really?
Yes. Really? 10 pages. Curiously, though, I saw a 10-page just...
All with little writing and pencil?
No, it was sort of hard to follow at some points. But
a lot of them, you can tell by the syntax of their handwriting, but a lot of them actually are very big writing, very scrawled. I had one...
When you're getting into it, it gets messy and large.
We had the crazy people wanting to say, I had a psychic vision that this is where John Benet Ramsey is. And because... we get, especially when the media comes up with a news story, so we'll get the emails and we'll get the letters. So part of what we have to do is actually look at them, analyse them, and figure out if there's what exactly is going on. And they are written across the page, down the page, diagonal. There are pictures, and some guy had something there which just didn't make any sense whatsoever. And basically they were saying that the government was wanting to take her away as part of this massive government conspiracy, that there are children hidden away for government use, that everyone was in on it, and by the way, the reptoids had everything to do with it.
Oh, the reptoids again. It's always those damn reptoids.
Come on, Richard, you must get a few conspiracy theories sent your way, emails and all that.
Yes. I absolutely do, but what I might do in the way of wrapping up the comment on conspiracy theories is getting back to the moon one, because it's a good case in point where I was really surprised when all these conspiracy theories came up. And about 10 years ago, I think they reached their height, and they bubbled up there for a while. And then it wasn't that many years ago, we got high-resolution pictures back of the landing sites, which were clearly showing tyre tracks and footprints, and the flag is still there and all that sort of stuff. And I must admit, I haven't heard much people making fuss about moon landing conspiracies since then, so maybe it helped.
That means that it's all been staged. See, what they do, they take this thing and they just, yeah, that's fine. However, this is what we say so the footprints and everything like that is obviously been staged on a movie lot.
So you did it?
Sorry.
Photoshop.
I have to play devil's advocate, and feel free to edit this out, but when NASA released the first photos from Viking, they really shot themselves in the foot. They twisted the colour balance so that the sky would be red.
Did they? I didn't know that.
That's why there's the red, white and blue US flag. It's the in clear shot on the Viking lander. The first shot is there to colour balance.
Yeah.
And you can tell from the photo that the colours are all out of whack, and they knew it.
They did it deliberately for reasons they thought were valid.
No, it was done by the boss of NASA, who's a political appointee.
Exactly.
He was obviously a member of the Illuminati.
It's just... They have shot themselves in the foot in the past, so...
Well, yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
But never put down to conspiracy, but that which can be explained by simple incompetence.
Yes, I like that one. Yes.
Yeah, sometimes it's not a big thing, it's just sometimes people screwed it up. It's as simple as that.
It's a good lesson. Also comes back to Occam's razor, of course. You know, what's more easy, that some guy shot the president, or there was this huge industry almost in covering it up and planning it and executing it and all the rest of it.
I think the big...
Oh, Ada has something. Yes, Ada, yes. What do you think?
Yeah.
It reminds me of a Bill Cosby line. He says his daughter was saying hello, and so Bill Cosby rings up his mother. Say hello, and the daughter goes, "Hello, can you say something?"
Nope.
That was her hitting the microphone.
I like what Neil deGrasse Tyson said about the moon conspiracy. If you're sitting on top of a Saturn V, where else are you going to go?
Why did he say that?
Oh, it was in one of his interviews. I've been looking at a lot of his interviews recently.
He's a good man, Well, look, I'd like to thank everybody for coming along today to see Here Be Dragons, and we a nod to Brian Dunning, of course.
I noticed.
Gloat? Gloat about what?
Gloat about the AVN?
Oh,
would that be bad?
All right. No, we can gloat quickly about the Australian anti-vaccination brigade, who are going to be called something else soon and probably then disappear. So what's the sound for gloat? Thank you. I'm glad you got that one in. I'd like to thank everybody for coming along here. What a fine turnout it was for Here Be Dragons, shown in Canberra, which was a fantastic effort, and a good barbecue beforehand, and a lovely social opportunity here at King O'Malley's afterwards. So from the Canberra Think Tank, I'd like to say thank you and cheers, everybody. Yay! Cheers!
Skeptic Zone listeners. Do you know what to do in August? Come to Stockholm, Sweden and meet astronaut Christer Fuglesang, activist Hailey Stevens, stats guru Hans Rosling, undercover health journalist Anna Bessén, and many more at the 15th European Skeptics Congress. Friday the 23rd to Sunday the 25th of August in Stockholm, Sweden.
The 15th European Skeptics Congress. www.euroskepticscon.org www.euroskepticscon.org
Thank you for listening to the Skeptic Zone for another week, and thank you again for those people who chip in with only $1 a week or even less to help keep the show ticking over. It really means a lot. And if you want to contribute to the Skeptic Zone, you can either buy us a round of drinks. Well, you can if you want to. There's the option on the website. Or you can use your micropayments on PayPal and chip in $1 a week or $3 a week or a little amount. It really does all add up, and it helps very much. But for now, I'll just leave you with this message. Look out for solar flare. Look out for solar flare. It might be a bit cryptic, but it will make sense before long. Solar flare. But for now, this is Richard Saunders signing off from Sydney, Australia.
You've been listening to the Skeptic Zone. Visit our website at www.skepticzone.tv for comments, contacts, and extra video reports.